YouTube? We are back with some more BT-15 commentary for y'all. I'm joined by my partner in crime, the Highwayman, the Kaiju Master.
Oh god, it's me.
TJ.
Up here, I swear. I wasn't just dying, it's fine.
But we've got some pretty good matches here. A lot of Levia represented this week, as you'll see on our on our videos here. And arguably, as we record this right now, Worlds has a lot of Levia going on as well too. So I think a pretty good representation of how strong the deck is this format. But this particular match is going to be a mirror between myself, actually, playing Levia on the right, and Stack playing Levia on the left. This is where some of the expression can come into play. You know, like I know Stack has his own kind of particular way of building it. I had a little bit of a different twist to it. I think the
build is more pure. He's closer to what I was running originally.
His is more of a pure Levia based. I'm doing a little bit of a splish splash of like, you'll see, but like Cerberus package. I did end up taking the Merva out before locals. I did want to run her at like a one of, but I ended up just taking her out.
I don't think it's worth at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, you'll see how it turns out. It is a pretty good back and forth. So hopefully you guys do enjoy it. I will do a quick plug-in. I want to keep the intro a little bit shorter just because the match is longer, but did want to plug our tournament. Our box tournament's going to be next weekend, hopefully. So if you guys are wanting to play into it, signups are live. Just a reminder, we will close them come Thursday of this week. So if you haven't signed up and have been meaning to, please feel free to check it out. I will link it in the video description down below. Which will also include our socials, you know, our Twitter, our Instagram, our Discord, our TCG player affiliate, as well as our YouTube membership. All of those will be in the link tree, along with the TCG player link for Sully's Abode, which is the local shop that we go to every Thursday. This is where all the matches this week are being held. Great shop in Boilingbrook. They got a ton of different locals, so if you're looking for just a card game scene, you know, they're a great store to check out, and, you know, feel free to check out their website down below. But yeah, without further ado, let's hop right into the round over here.
So, I know our builds are pretty similar.
Yeah.
What I understand, because we both treated a Cerberus package, because I think we saw a lot of it going around. I think Justin was my final nail in the coffin for his Levia build for the Cerberus package. Because I think the Cerberus package does better in the mirror 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah. The ability to unsuspend it can come up clutch. If you're able to survive that first check and do it again, it's really nice.
Well, and the fact that Cerberus himself sets it up too. You don't need to rely on your top end to set it up the inheritable.
True.
Like with you know, and it's basically like it's almost just better Black War Growl. Like the BT-5 Black War Growl with the digi burst.
Yeah.
But anyways, we see you start. Go ahead and put down your training there just for a search. No rookie, it looks like.
Yeah.
You get the Gobbly off of it. Stack's build was very similar to mine, where he's running Gabu and Groove package. He does have the Guilmon.
The Guilmon is an interesting piece. The more I see it, I do want to consider running it maybe as like a one of, just to kind of get that extra rush swing in. But I did find difficulty squeezing it in last minute, so I ended up not running it, but it is something I'm definitely interested into, like, piecing into the deck eventually. Stack ends up deciding to swing, hits a Levia X, which I'm like, okay, set up trash pretty nicely there.
And for everyone that like is gonna see this stuff this week, and like what we were saying with Worlds, because I have a feeling that Levia is gonna take Worlds.
Yeah.
Like, the deck is really... I mean, who would have thought, right? You give a 13k or 14k body security attack +1 or +2, respectively. The ability to wipe a board and gain memory. Who would have thought that would be a good card?
Yeah.
Oh, and then you give it an option card that also just deletes anything, and then
spits out
activates
another
delay effect out of security as well as build to the main effect, and can just then put your opponent in a position of like, go ahead, play something by an effect, I dare you.
We saw myself swing with a Psychmon, hitting a Biting Crutch, which when I hit that, I was like, well, shit. And then Stack pitched the Levia, which is like, well, that's not good. So then I responded with my own Biting Crush to set up a Levia in my own trash.
Did he not flip his cards over when you put them under his deck?
No, he did. He did.
Okay.
Because we
Well,
both
I
end up
just-
almost... Spoiler, we almost deck ourselves out this round. Or one of us does. And his cards were fine. But it definitely did look like he did. He just stuffed them under.
I didn't see him flip him over. It just looked like he just scooped him under there.
But here I go into Garuru, and then into a Cerberus X. Now I like the Gobbly Garuru synergy here because you end up making your stuff a lot more efficient. And then the Cerberus also pairs very nicely with Protoform or X-Antibody here. Unfortunately, the ideal play is to go into Protoform to go into your Cerberus X, but I drew into the X-Antibody as I digivolved into Cerberus, and then I think I like missequenced some things. I thought I had a play, but I'm like, wait a second. Never mind. So the X-Antibody, I probably should have just kept it.
Were you thinking that you could Evo into Levia X from the trash with the X-Antibody under when attacking?
Yeah.
I have done that before.
Well, part of me also was like, oh yeah, like I can just have the X-Antibody underneath, play out a level 3, and then play out Octomon to bring out my Biting Crush and Levia X, but I was like, wait a second. Number one, I didn't want to do that because freaking Biting Crush would proc and I would get bopped. And 2, that's not how the sequencing goes. So it was just a little bit of a missequence on my end. So I said, you know what, screw it. Let's just go ahead and play out just a swing, and see what happens. It ends up dying. Stack ends up proccing his effect of the Warusidra. Now, there's going to be a little bit of pause in the round just because we are trying to clarify sequencing here. And Jarrell ends up eventually getting called over. Yeah. But basically the question was like, how do we sequence the Biting Crushes and how does the Levia sequence of deletion go into all of this?
I'm gonna take a guess. I'm gonna take a guess at how it resolves. Let me see if I'm right. So Levia would play. Levia would delete. Would clear Gobbly. That would proc your Biting Crush effect.
Correct.
Which I believe you would be able to activate your Biting Crush then? Or does the Levia X go off first?
No, so...
I would assume Biting Crush would happen.
You're correct, I believe. If I remember correctly, you're correct. In the sense that since he played out his Levia, I'm able to proc my Levia to come out, which ends up popping both of his stuff. The thing that I believe I miss here is that Gobbly should have popped because Levia came out on Stack's end.
Yeah, because Levia should have hit.
So it should have hit the Gobbly, which is a misplay on my part. And I think Jarrell, with everything going on, and he was also in between rounds, was also like I think he missed that. But the Gobbly ends up living, which actually does play a little bit of significance here. Stack ends up doing a 7th Lightning to pop my Levia. And here's, like I said, the Gobbly should have died, so I shouldn't be able to do all this stuff.
Yeah. You're doing like a full thing.
I'm doing the full thing right now, yeah. So I go Gobbly into Dober X, gain the memory off the Gobbly, go into Cerberus X to allow me to play out Gazi, which is what I like to do here, because I can go into Octo, we can play out a token, a Fujitsu token on Stack side, which then allows me to go into Levia X. Levia X will just stay there because I don't get enough memory to keep turn, but I choke him to 1 and I have the body on board, which again shouldn't be there technically because it was an illegal play on my end. But the idea of it is why I set up this way. Like this is what the deck is the deck is supposed to do, or how I want it to be set up, is to be able to do plays like this. Where I can swing for 3 checks, use Cerberus's effect to pop to restand, and I end up just dying to a 7th Lightning.
Yeah, it does clear both there. Okay, but yeah, so his Levia would play out. Your Levia, your Biting Crush would see the chance to resolve. His Levia effect would proc, so his on plays would go off, deleting Gobbly. Then I believe, and the question is, I don't know if Levia, I think Levia X might happen first because turn player priority, because they're both technically. No, I guess Biting Crush would have activated after Levia got played. So Biting Crush would go off first, would clear that stuff, and then Levia X would have the chance to Evo. Yeah,
so Jarrell had it outside of just the Gobbly thing, but
he probably thought you were gonna. He probably thought you knew. Yeah, I'm assuming. I don't think Jarrell would miss that.
I'm more monkey brain than I think I am.
No, you're okay.
But we see
there was
Stack.
a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah.
So.
Stack set up with the Waru Seadra. I end up going to the Guru X on top of the Guru that I had set up previously. And here I'm like, oh boy, deck's running a little bit low. How do I want to go about pitching and setting things up? Because I'm like, I need to end this quickly. Otherwise, with my draw engine, I'm in trouble of decking out. So I just say, okay, go ahead, swing. I do have to draw off of the Guru and pitch one. He ends up crashing into the other Guru X-Antibody. I pick up a Ruin Mode off of training and pass turn. And here's where... so the Monkey Brain continues to become Monkey Brain. You'll see it. So there's still a little bit of ways to go, but how this match ends is actually kind of funny, now that I remember. We see Stack do his Waru Seadra play, which will allow me to, or force me to play out a Gobbly. We'll pierce through for 3 checks, hits a Protoform, which I add to hand, and then we hit a Biting Crush, which unfortunately I can't pitch anything, I think. Oh no.
Have a 7th Lightning.
Yeah, I don't have a 7th Lightning or a Levia, so I end up just pitching the Cerberus X to just pop the big guy and kind of just force him to say, okay, well, rebuild if you can.
It stops the 3rd check, so I think that's still probably the smarter play. What is Seadra's?
So he sets up the Waru Seadra for next turn, which is fair because we know that he's got a ton of Levias in trash and he can kind of push aggression there. I have to do something here, otherwise I lose. So here I'm hoping for, I think, the ability to pull off the play again, because I can do the Protoform to go into Cerberus.
Okay.
I can do Cerberus's effect to play out a level 3, which I choose to play out. I think I play out the Gobbly here to keep turn. Or the Siako. Okay, never
Take
mind.
yourself out.
Yeah, that was the mistake. I probably should have played something that didn't allow me to draw.
I'm assuming you go into a regular Levia here?
No, which I did not have in hand.
You used the training, though. Why did you use the training?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking myself. I was like, wait a second.
Okay. You thought you had the Levia, but you... Okay, I see.
Oh, wait, no. I might have Levia here. I'm starting to blank, but here I'm like, I have 2 cards left in hand. Like, the fuck am I gonna do here?
Left in deck, you mean?
Yeah, in deck here. So I'm like, okay, I gotta do something where I can maybe just like pass turn. So I end up going into Levia. And I do have the Levia. I'm training to reduce the cost and just pass turn.
So you didn't reduce the cost. You went for the full 5.
Oh no!
It should have only been.
It should have only been 3. I would have kept turn.
No, you wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't have.
Supposed to set him to 1.
Set him to 1. Okay, I mean that's fine, because I do this Monkey Brain play here, which I'm like, oh, he says Dragu. I'm like, okay, I'm going to play out something, and Stack will also play out something. I'm gonna Levia X like a big brain. And I'm like, wait a second. Stack's like, you gotta draw, buddy. I'm like, oh. Shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing... What'd you have in Inheritables? You had the Siako in Inheritables, so you also would have gained a memory when he played out whatever he was about to play out.
Yep.
But
so I think that's just a matter of me being a little bit naive with the deck, because this is the first time I took it to a locals. We've tested it a fair amount, so it's not like it's my first time playing it, but I'm still kind of learning the sequencing and stuff.
Yeah, well, and also too, like, it's different when you're on cam. It's different when you're in person. There's like different, there's a different vibe than like when you're at home in your space playing over a webcam, as opposed to in a shop with a bunch of people chit chatting around you and stuff like that. There's a lot going on, so it can be very easy to miss stuff.
But I mean, I had a lot of fun playing it too. I think my best bet probably would have just been to do what I did with Levia, but not do the Levia X, because I think security probably would have saved me one more time. Because I had a Biting Crush in there, which would have popped his big guy if he were to go into it.
It's kind of...
Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say, it's just kind of weird to me, like... Why... Okay, you know what doesn't make... Like, Octomon plays out a token, which I get. You know, it's a token. It's not always going to have a level, yada yada, whatever.
Sure.
But then it just doesn't like. I get there's supposed to be like another way to like quickly just play out Levia, but Levia can't target it to pop it to actually punish them. So it's only ever a target for piercing, which I get that's why they have piercing on like Drago and Water Sidra. But why not just make it like a random? I don't know. Why not just give it a level?
True. Good question.
Make it a level 3 token. I don't know.
But we see, I think, pretty good setup on both ends. I'm just trying to cycle. I have higher end pieces, I believe, in hand. I just didn't have. I had a bunch of low end pieces, not a lot of high end pieces, and I was searching through rookies. I was like, well, the more rookies I bottom deck, if the stack dies, which going against the mirror, I feel like that's pretty. That's a good assumption that your initial stack is going to just die. Yeah, I think it's a good assumption there. So I was like, I need rookies.
I think it's a good assumption just that your stack's not going to live if you leave it out there.
Right.
For the turn, it doesn't matter if it's the first stack or the last stack.
Yeah. So I end up popping the boost. I think here, debating.
Also, I'm realizing now that. Sorry. I was gonna say I'm realizing now that I had my whole Octomon ramp, but there's been so many times where because it doesn't have a level, I was able to double pop something. Yeah, and that's way more helpful. So never mind. Ignore me. Someone's probably already commented. Well, it's more useful. You know what? You're right. I'm a fucking idiot, and I'm sorry.
But I end up popping my boost to just Biting Crush to get Levia X and trash, and Stack's like, okay, well, I can play that game too. Goes ahead and set up his own Biting Crush because I feel like in the mirror, correct me if I'm wrong, but like honestly, if you can get a Biting Crush out early, it helps so much. Yeah, just as like a floodgate, basically.
I think also clearing stuff like early is not too bad either. But the other thing I was gonna say too, like, it also a lot of times it turns into like, okay, well, who's gonna Levia first? Because if you put down your Biting Crush and they have their Biting Crush down, if they make a Levia play, they know they're gonna lose it to your Biting Crush.
Right.
Before they can do anything.
It's like a game of chicken.
So it puts them in this weird spot where like they have to hard Evo. So because you can't be the turn player that's gonna do the thing. Yeah. So
speaking of hard Evo, there we go. He kind of just puts it out there and says, "Okay, deal with me. See what you can do." Yep. Gives me the memory though, which I do have the Guru X. So I'm like, okay, we can work with this. God. Yeah. So we end up, doing the thing. We draw 2, pitch 2, gain or draw off of the Suno. I should have gained a memory off of the Guru X. I forget if I did or not, but we pick up a Biting Crush off of training. And at this point, I'm like, honestly, just Biting Crush it, get rid of it. I don't have anything to pitch, but he has nothing in raising, nothing on board. I feel like at that point, might as well just go for it. And Stack just proceeds to search, picks up the one of Guru X, which is fair for sure. And then decides to say, I can play that game too, buddy, and just Biting Crushes my Guru X. So it's just literally a game of just back and forth at this point. And now I kind of return the favor and do my dig in. I pick up a Levia. And I think here, I feel like I'm in a pretty decent spot. I've got a Biting Crush in case he does do a Levia play. I've got 2 trainings and a boost. So I feel like, I'm in a good spot to just kind of set up for a big play either next turn. So I say, look, just go ahead and play the Dragu. There's nothing for Stack to play out because there's nothing in trash, which I felt safe about. And I'm like, just get the level 5 out on board and see what he can do. And Stack... Oh, no, never mind. He does play out a Guru. So here I'm like, okay. Let's just burn the Biting Crush so that we both get rid of it. Like, if I lose my Levia here, that's okay because I have a Dragu on board. But then I'm like, oh, wait a second. He can go into Levia X. I'm an idiot. So I kind of give him that. And then he hits a Biting Crush, which saves my dumbass. And I pitch a Levia to keep it in play. So it worked out for me. It wasn't what I intended to, but it worked out because I was able to clear both his Biting Crush and his big stack, and I was able to get another Biting Crush in play. Yeah. But definitely would have hurt me because that was more of a misplay that turned lucky on my end. But Stack's hitting his pieces. I mean, we see him just straight Evo into Levia X once again and says, like, deal with me. So I cracked the training here to go into a Dober X for free, which will draw one and pitch one. Pitch a 7th Lightning. I'll draw off a Suno and then use the Protoform to go into Cerberus X for 2. Please tell me I do it. Please tell me I do it. Oh, no. The engagement about to happen.
It's gonna be.
Please do it. Move the marker.
Uh-oh.
No.
You didn't pay.
Oh, we're about to pay in the comments section. That's for sure.
That's okay. That's gonna be me in the next video.
But we do end up going into Levia X.
I mean, admittedly.
Oh yeah, I didn't pay.
Oh boy.
Like a dumbass. But we do the 3 checks, we unsuspend, we swing again. We end up clearing security through Cerberus X and allowing me to restand.
Could be 2 memory left, so you should technically be a 3.
Technically, I should technically have given Stack more memory.
He should have been at 3.
He should have been at 3 right now. I don't think it matters a whole lot, just because there's not a whole lot he can do.
I think at the end of the day, he just scoops. So yeah. I think at the end, even if he had 3 memory, I don't think there's anything he really could have done unless he had Levia in hand that he wanted to hard drop there.
Right.
But even then, he has no security, so there's not really much gas he's gonna have left in the tank. Because I don't think he could have closed it out that turn or anything. So I don't think it really matters in the long run.
But we are calling it out. For those of you who are like, how come these guys don't catch it, don't see it? We're seeing it. I'm calling it out. Like the monkey brain I am. I know.
It's almost like, we're humans that like can miss stuff, It's crazy. I know. That's crazy for me to say. That's insane. That we're people? We're not just voices in the ether?
Hot take over here.
Those hands, you know what? Never mind. Those aren't your hands, Ben. Those can't be your hands. There's no way. There ain't no way.
The sleeves be doing the talking for me tonight.
That's Billy.
Shazam! But no, I mean, I think all seriousness aside, like I had a lot of fun with the deck. The matches with Stack were really fun. A lot of good back and forth, and Levia is strong. I mean, like I think, like you're saying, it's highly represented at Worlds right now. It's definitely represented at our local scene, and for good reason. It's a very strong deck, very good deck.
We also have a lot of purple players too in our local scene.
We do, and I've kind of started dabbling into like a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. But I think now that I'm like kind of getting serious about the Nats grind, I think I'm gonna go back to the roots and go back blue. I end up pushing up, do the Guru X. Why did I gain a memory?
Yeah, you shouldn't have gained a memory because you didn't have X-Antibody and sources.
I think it's because I thought I had Gobbly for some reason. I'm used to like gaining memory off of Gobbly. Labra only gains me if I play.
Yeah.
But Stack goes ahead and does his own Guru X play, sets up his trash with a Levia, goes ahead and swings, hits a Cerberus X, which does die, and then he biting crushes my big guy to just get a biting crush on board. But then, unfortunately, doesn't have a Demon Lord, so he ends up just passing turn over a lot of memory, which at this point I'm like, okay, I don't have a lot of pieces, but I have time to like search and dig. So I felt comfortable setting up slowly here. So I go into Cerberus and, I'm doing my cycle. And here I go into Anubis thinking get the guy out early, start setting up maybe some like aggression plays with some wideboard and whatnot. Because I feel like Stack is also missing pieces. So I'm like, okay, let's just use this opportunity to control board, set up my pieces, and kind of go from there. We play out the Labra just to pop his Leviamon. And what's the Anubis So as long as I play out a body by effect, I can pop up to a level 5. If I don't, I draw one. And Stack responds by just saying Biting Crush once again, pitching a 7th Lightning this time to keep it live. And here is where we hit a lot of pain. Training, Protoform. So a lot of options just outdoor. I think a Biting Crush was in that search as well. which is a little bit rough. We go into the Guru again just for more cycle. I decide to boost again and hit more options. So that's 2 Protoforms and 2 Biting Crushes that I just bottom decked with my boosts. Which is, at that point, I was just like, I honestly think I just lost with those 2 reveals.
I can't tell if you gave him 2 or 1. The marker
I gave him 2. I gave him 2.
Okay.
But yeah, after those 2 boosts, I just was like, I don't think I win this. Because, I mean, my 2 Protoforms are gone. 2 Biting Crushes are gone. I had 1 Biting Crush in hand, so I'm like, I know it's not coming out of security. Pretty sure. He is missing pieces, but I'm also like, without Protoform, I can't do a whole lot as efficiently as I want to. Yeah.
Sorry. No, the one thing I was gonna say, the one thing to keep in mind when someone's playing pure build, because they don't have the unsuspend off Cerberus X, they're significantly less aggressive. It's much more control and less aggression. So a lot of times, if you're at 4 security, you're still pretty okay.
We do a training. I think I picked up a Dragu here. I go ahead swinging a security with the Guru. It does die. We guess so. And here I decide to crack the boost to go to 5. And decide to just swing. I do end up living. I play out a Gobbly and then I play out a Psych because here, if I remember correctly, we are in turns. So I'm like, okay, well, I just have to bank on him not drawing into a Levia, which he ends up doing. Or not even drawing into Levia, like just having the Waru play to just play out Levia because that ends up just popping a lot of my bodies. Because I could either, at that point in turns, I was either between building up a stack and trying to do a full-fledged like Levia play once again, or just wideboarding and hoping he can't clear it. And he ends up just clearing it. But this is his last turn, I believe. So he's not able to do anything else. And here I'm like, okay, well, let's see what happens. The Biting Crush, 7 Lightning, picks up a Biting Crush. I think at this point, stack is just like, let's just pass, give you 3, see what you can do. I push up, I crack the training, go into Dobra X. And we attempt to cook. We draw off a Suno since we pitched a card. And here I'm like, no, not a whole lot I can do. Again, the Protoforms being in trash, I think, were the real rough part. You know, I could Cerberus X here, but since I don't have an X-Antibody underneath, I can't play anything out to proc Levia or like any of those shenanigans. I can't go into Levia. I can pop 2 things. I can gain 2 memory, but that's really just about all I can do.
Yeah. And
Stack can't do anything here either because he can really just control board and just say, you know.
That's it. Yep. And then that's
GG's.
just tie.
Yeah.
The Biting Crushes, and then nothing you can do because that was your last turn. I think you return. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard sometimes. That's exactly what happened with me and Justin. Like the first 2 matches took so long that our third, like we just. Well, sorry, we didn't even get to go to a third match. Our second match ended, and I barely managed to squeeze out a win.
Yeah.
Right before, in like my last turn.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said, I mean, fun matches though. A lot of back and forth, which is why I do enjoy the deck. It's really powerful. A lot of dialogue that you can do like interactively. The mirror honestly is brutal. I think we were talking about it at the shop. Like, if this were like round 3 or round 4, I would be like, this match was absolutely like terrible. Like, I hated every minute of it. But I think being round 1 and kind of being fresh, I'm like, yeah, this was fun. You know, a lot of good like thought process and like going back and forth with stack. But definitely if this were like a later round, it'd be miserable.
It was a round 1 match for me against Justin. It was miserable. It was awful. I just hate the mirror.
But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, please do feel free to check out our box tournament, which will be linked in the video description down below. We are looking for folks to sign up for. There's still a good amount of spots open. So if you are planning on signing up, please go ahead and do us a favor. Sign up earlier rather than later so we can start planning for it. Otherwise, you know, let us know what you guys think of this video. Let us know what you guys want to see moving forward. You know, we are trying to do a little bit more with the channel. You know, like we said, we've got this event we have planned out. We just did a collab with another channel over in London, Kavinsky TCG. So watch out for his video when it does come out. We did do a little brief collab on some Gabuban shenanigans. So I'm excited to see how that turns out. And without further ado, we will catch you on that flippy flip. Bye-bye.